In this video, we're going to learn how to crochet. This is for total all-out beginners. Never touch the hook. And when we finish, you're going to have this 7x7 single crocheted square. And this can be the beginning of your first crocheted blanket. Hi, I'm Wanda with Sweet Wanda Jean, and I am so glad you're here today. Sweet Wanda Jean helps you crochet those beautiful heirloom blankets, afghans, and gifts for your family and friends. If this sounds like a place you'd like to hang out, then be sure and like and subscribe to this channel. Also, register at sweetwandajean.com so I can email you tips and goodies. There are 7 steps we're going to be looking at today. First, there's project yarn and tools. Then there's crochet hook design. Then there's how to hold your hook, your yarn, and the work. Number 4 is slip knot. Number 5 is starting chain. Number 6 is single crochet. And number 7 is make your square. So let's start out with the yarn for the project and the tools. So number 1 tool is yarn, of course. I'm using a Red Heart Super Saver yarn, and this color is carrot. There you go. And I really like this. This is a 4-ply yarn. It's worsted weight medium. If you're new and the first time that you're crocheting, this is the perfect type of yarn to start out with. Since this square is going to be a part of an afghan, I'm using coordinating colors for each square. So each square will be one of these colors. I've also made this before, and this was a summer afghan blanket that I made, and I used these 3 coordinating colors, also in the same acrylic yarn, and I love it. It makes a beautiful piece. It's best to use the recommended hook size that's on the yarn band, especially when you're first starting. So this recommends an I9 5.5 millimeter hook, and that's what we're going to use today. Here are the tools that we're going to need to complete this project. Of course, there's the yarn that we've seen earlier, and then there is the crochet hook. This is an I9 5.5 millimeter. This is the same size hook, but it's my favorite, and I like to use that one. Then you're also going to need yarn needles, and just as long as they have a nice large eye and the ends are blunt, that works really good. And of course, there's a pair of scissors, and then I use a stitch holder or a stitch marker. I use that when I have to put my project down, and I just put it right there in the stitch. In the description below, there are links to be able to get any of these products. And if you use any of those links, I will get a small compensation, but it's at no cost to you. And that keeps this channel alive and helpful information coming your way. I taught this class many times on video, and I have clips from previous classes I'm going to use. So you can watch the videos all the way through first, and then you can crochet along with me. So let's get into it. Crochet hook design. Now we're going to learn about the design of the hook. I want you to notice, I'm turning it to the side here, and I want you to see that this is the point of the hook. This, of course, area right here is the actual hook. You'll see a tapered area right along here. This area is called the throat. This is the shank. This depression here is your thumb rest, and then this is the rest of the shank. So that's your parts of your crochet hook. How to hold the hook, the yarn, and the work. Any way you hold your yarn is good. It's always up to you. The main thing is to get comfortable using it. Any way you hold your hook is fine. Whether you hold it with this kind of grip or you hold it like a pencil, anything is comfortable, whatever's comfortable for you, because that is what's most important. It's how you're comfortable holding your hook. The next is how to hold your yarn. That's another thing that really is up to you, and you need to get comfortable finding the best way. But what you're trying to do with holding your yarn, I hold mine, I'm totally self-taught, so I hold my yarn like this. The main thing is you want to give some tension between your hook and your finger. And you want to be able to, you need to be flexible with your tension. Whether you pull hard, or whether you pull tight or not, that is what's very important. Getting the tension on your yarn. That makes the difference between whether or not your stitches are large or small. So that's one of the things you'll be practicing on after this lesson, is how to get the best tension, what feels most comfortable for you. Slip knot. Now we're going to learn how to make a slip knot. I'm using right now the large super bulky yarn, and I'm going to use a size Q hook, very large, so that you'll be able to see exactly what we're doing, so that it won't be too small. So the first thing we do is we need a tail. Most times you're going to need at least 6 inches, because this is large yarn. I'm going to use a lot longer than 6 inches. But once you get your tail the length you want it, you're going to make this hump or U with your yarn. Then you're going to take the tail side and cross it over, so that now you have an open loop. With that loop, you're going to take your tail side again and cross it underneath your loop. Then you see now you have a little yarn that crosses through there. You're going to take your hook and you're going to put it under that yarn. You're going to put it over the loop, under the yarn piece in the middle, and over the other side of the loop. And then you're going to pull with your hook, and now you have a nice loop here, and you have your slip knot here. You're going to pull your slip knot a little tight. There you go. So now you have your loop and you have your slip knot. Now this slip knot is really large, so we want to, in order to make it a little tighter, you're going to pull both ends of the yarn, and see there your slip knot gets a little smaller. You don't want your slip knot too tight. You don't want it right up on the hook. That's too tight. You want to, the good thing about a slip knot is that you can pull it open again by pulling the loop. You want to have the loop a little bit loose so that your hook has a place to move. The reason why is because the hook and throat of your hook grabs the yarn. But there's also times when you want to pull the hook out of your loop. So then you turn the hook upside down and pull, and you see it pulls right out and back in. So when you are hooking the yarn, you turn the hook upward. When you want to bring the hook out of the yarn, you pull it out. Now this little loop is very important, because really when you crochet, you're always going to end up with this nice little open loop, and your hook and your loop fit close together, and that's how. Now we've made our slip knot, and now next we're going to make a starting chain. Starting chain. In order to start making a foundation chain or starting chain, you're going to use 2 motions you're going to hear all the time in crochet, and that's a yarn over and pull through. Okay, so you're going to start out with your hook upright. You're going to yarn over, you're going to hook that yarn, and then you're going to turn your hook over and pull through. As I said before, you're going to learn to hold your yarn the best way for you, so that you can get enough tension here without being too tight. But you don't want it just flopping loose either, because then you can't do anything. There's no there's no way to make the yarn behave as you'd like it to. So you need that little tension, and that's something you're going to work on. But the motion is to yarn over, turn your hook over, and pull through. Now you'll notice I'm pulling my hand back to give some more space with the yarn. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Now you have that, you're going to go over this side of the loop, under the yarn in between, and over this other side of the loop. We're going to bring the two pieces of yarn together and pull. Now I have my loop. I'm going to pull it a little tighter. There's my slip knot. I'm going to pull it a little tighter, and I'm ready to crochet. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. I'm going to give myself some space. Also, while we're talking, I want you to notice that my thumb and my middle finger is holding my chain, what we call the work. So I'm holding the work with my finger. That's to hold it steady so that I can yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and pull through. I'm going to pull it out a little bit, and we're going to go back to just that slip knot. I'm going to put my needle and my hook through again. And right now, the only work that I have is that slip knot. So I'm holding that there, close to the hook. Yarn over, pull through. Now the yarn over is done with the hook, but also with the assistance of my finger. So yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Now my finger's holding it is a little far away from my hook. So I'm going to let go and grab a little closer to the hook because I want to keep that tension between my finger and my hook. So yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. I'm sort of stepping up my finger with my fingers with my hook so that I'm holding the yarn or the work close to the needle. I might let it go a few times, but once I get 2 or 3 stitches out, I'm going to pull up my finger closer so that I can keep that tension. And also, you'll see that sometimes I use this finger to hold it while I adjust this hand. So yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. So these are the things that you are going to need to practice so that you can get used to holding your hook, your yarn for tension, and also your work so that you can get a smooth, even flow, which makes smooth, even stitches. Now, in this case, chains. Now, when you're first starting, don't beat yourself up if your first ones look like this. This is just a practice of learning how to get the tension. So when you first start, your first few chains may look like this. That's okay. It's just because you're learning the tension. And then after they look like this, they might begin to look like this. You might begin to hold it too tight and then make these really tight stitches where you can barely get the hook through the thread, and they might be a little too tight like this. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Just take your time. If they get too tight, remember, you need a little space in between your hook plan your work so that your hook can slide easily inside and out of that loop. So take your time, be patient with yourself, and yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. 9, 10. Okay? Now, we need to take a look at the chain and how it's constructed. We have right here at that bottom, let me get a little closer. Right here at that bottom is your slip knot. That slip knot we don't count as a stitch. Then at the top here, we have the loop that's around the crochet hook. That is not counted either. Now you'll see that the chain, this is the front of the chain, and it's constructed by these little V's. V, you count those V's. 1 V, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's how we counted. And remember again, this is the front. I'm going to turn it over and take the hook out for a second. Turn it over, and you see it looks different on the other side. There are these little bumps on the back. I'll lift one up so you can see it. That's a bump. Here's another bump. Here's another bump. These are called the back loops on a chain. These are the back loops on the chain. Sometimes in a crochet pattern, they'll ask you to use these loops in order to crochet into. So you need to know where they are. They're on the back. Let's turn it over. This is the front of our chain again. And this nice little V structure shows each chain. Single crochet. Now we're going to get our super bulky yarn, and we already have some chains. We have 6 chains made with this. And so now we're going to see how we're going to start our single crochet row. Now you'll see there's a loop on the hook. Here is the first chain from the hook. Here is the second chain from the hook. So in order to turn it, we're going to go into the second chain from the hook. We're going to take our hook and enter the hook into the second chain from the hook. Now we're going to yarn over, hook it with that hook, bring it through, pull up, and now we have 2 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over again and pull through both of those loops on the hook. That's our very first single crochet. Now we're going to do it again. We're going to take our hook, enter into the next chain. By the way, I want you to see where that next chain is. This is the one we worked in. You're going to skip over that little cross of yarn. There's a little cross right here. It's important to remember that cross because we don't want to accidentally go right back into the same one. We want to skip over that cross and go into the next chain. So enter your hook into that chain, yarn over, and pull the yarn through. Now we have 2 loops on the hook, 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull the yarn through both loops. 2 single crochets. Now we're going to do that again. Enter the hook into the next chain. Yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over again, pull through. Okay? Here we go. That little cross, we're going to be sure and move over into the next chain. Yarn over, pull up, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over again, pull through. Enter that last chain, yarn over. You'll notice the yarn is already ready to yarn over when you get through. And then you're going to yarn over again, pull through those 2 loops on the hook, and now we're done. We have 1 loop on the hook. Now here is that slip knot. Remember, we don't count that and we don't use that. We are finished with our row here. Now we're going to turn and go back the other way on our super bulky yarn so that we can really see how we make this turn. Now the next thing we need to do is that we need a spacer to go across this way. We make our spacer by chaining 1. Now we have the height. Now we have the height here to go back the other way. So once we chain 1, we're going to turn your piece over this way. Let's get rid of our tail. It's out here bothering us a little. So now you've turned your piece. Here's your yarn and here's your hook. We've got our spacer. That's this one right here, so it gives it some height. Now we're going to go right into the single crochet adjacent to that chain. Now in order to go into single crochet, what I want you to see is that there's a V. Again, just like the V's on our chain, we now have V's on the top of our single crochet row. Now we're going to take our hook and we're going to go underneath that V. Let me move our yarn out of the way so you can see. Here's the V. I'm taking my hook underneath that V. Now I'm lifting my yarn up again, and we're going to yarn over, pull up. Here's our 2 loops on our hook, yarn over again, pull through. Okay? Again, we're going to find our V's. There it is. Under that V, yarn over, pull up. Here's our 2 loops, pull through. Find our V again, under the V, yarn over, pull up, our 2 loops, pull through. V, under, yarn up, yarn over, pull up, pull through. There's our last V. It's a little slanted down. Here's our turning chain, so we're going to yarn over. We're going to enter that under the V, yarn over, pull up. Here's our 2 loops, yarn over again, and pull through. This is our second row of single crochet. Again, this was our turning chain. We're not going to use that one. That's the end. Now, I want you to practice, practice, practice. So next, I'm going to show you how to crochet this square for your first blanket. But before I do that, I just want to ask, are you enjoying this video and getting value? If so, be sure and click like so that everybody else can find this video too. Next, we have the question of the day. Okay, now that you've done this, how do you hold your hook? And tell me, what was the easiest and what was the hardest part of this video? Just drop that in the comments below. By the way, if you want to be notified when the next video in this series comes out, be sure and subscribe and click the bell so you'll get all the notifications in time. Now it's time to make your square. Now that you have all these skills, we're going to make this square for your first beginner blanket or afghan. Now first you make your slip knot and you're going to slip it onto your crochet hook. And then we're going to chain 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All that practicing should have come in handy for you. And we're going to make 28 rows of single crochet, just like you learned. At that point, you should have a 7 by 7 square It's okay if your square is a little smaller or a little larger than a 7 by 7. Remember, this is your blanket and it's all going to be made by you, and all of your squares are going to fit together just fine. So I will meet you back when you finish all 28 rows. Okay, now pause the video and finish your square. So you finished row 28 and it's time to end it. What you're going to do is yarn over and pull through. You're going to pull up just enough yarn. It's good to do about maybe 6 inches, 4 to 6 inches is good. You're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut right here. You're going to pull out the yarn so you're done. And now you just have this. You're going to give it a good tug. That seals it off. And then next we're going to, let's get rid of this one so that we can see. Next we're going to pull up one of our yarn needles. We're going to find that end, put it through that's why you have a nice big eye in your needle. And we're going to weave in the ends. Just sort of be creative in where you put it. You don't want to have too close a pattern because then you can see it. I sometimes use the stitches that are next to it, sort of weave up and down, in and out. Then I'll go diagonal across a few of the stitches. Sometimes it's good to, once you go one way, then turn it around and go back the other way. You just want to make sure that it doesn't unravel when you wash it. And then I'm turning again and going back the other way again. There you go. All done. Now I'm going to take it and clip it. And we're done. Now, you're going to go to that other end. Of course, you have another one. And you're going to do the same thing. All finished. Next time, we'll be doing a double crochet and we'll make another square. I'm going to make that one in the green. Okay? So, I'll see you then. So you can click for the next video or you can click to start a new project. Crochet love!